Welcome to OD Games. My name's Logan Plant, joined today by Zach Ross. Hi, Zach.
Hi, Logan.
No
How are
Kevin
you?
this week. He's gone.
I'm sad without Kevin.
I feel like we haven't done a show in a long time, just the two of us. We used to. There's some times where Kevin missed, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, I think I did one alone with Kevin fairly recently, but us
Yeah.
together, that's a pair that doesn't happen too often.
Yep, but here we are, and we got a pretty good show ahead. We're going to talk about Sega claiming Sonic Frontiers won't be delayed. We're going to talk about what we've been playing, including someone here finally finished God of War after 4 years, which is a big moment.
It,
But let's get started.
it's not me.
It's not you.
It wasn't me.
You already finished it long ago.
I finished it 4 years ago.
Yeah. So let's get into it with a story that is very pertinent to Zach, and that is Tales from the Borderlands sequel leaked. We already knew this game was happening, but its title leaked and its release date leaked. It is taking a page out of Nintendo's book. It's called New Tales from the Borderlands. I hate that title. And it's coming out
I hate
on
it too.
October 21st, 2022. A lot of Twitter accounts are posting links to the leaks earlier, but you could still just go check out this listing on Amazon. Oh, it's actually down now. I just refreshed the tab.
Oh.
It is down, but it
There we
was
go.
up. There was a description that said players will decide the fates of altruistic scientist anew. Is that a returning character?
Not as far as I know, but I'm not
Okay.
an expert on names in Borderlands.
Her ambitious, streetwise brother Octavio, and the fierce, Frogurt-slinging Fran. With nothing left to lose and everything to gain, you'll claw and con your way through this thrilling 5-part story. There's going to be returning characters and new characters, and, of course, as you'd expect, choices will determine how your game comes to an end. Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, it did say 5-part. The first game, obviously being a Telltale game, was 5 episodes, so I don't know if they mean this one is also going to be episodic or if it's all going to come out at the same time. They might do something like Life is Strange True Colors did, where it was kind of divided up into 5 parts, but it all dropped at the same time, on the same day. So I'm hoping that's the direction they head towards, because I think the way of episodic over the span of like 6 to 12 months isn't as good as it used to be. I'm really impatient now, more so than I used to be, so I like getting all of the stuff at one time, but I am excited about this. I was expecting it to be new characters, as the original protagonists of the first Tales from the Borderlands did show up in Borderlands 3 and their story continued there, so I was pretty confident that this would cover the stories of new characters that may appear in further Borderlands stories after this. We don't know, but I'm excited, and I'm very shocked that we're getting a leaked date of only a little over 2 months away. You'd think that we would know that by now, given how soon it's coming out. But if it's just the first episode, then maybe it's not all coming out in just 2 months. So I don't know.
It has a physical version, though. That's what's up for pre-order now, is a physical version. I feel like these games usually only get physical copies when they're all out. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
That has how it has happened in the past. I believe they only got physical versions. But that was Telltale. This is Gearbox. Maybe they've got a different strategy. Maybe the disc is only going to have 1 episode on it, and the rest is going to be digital only. So, which would be awful.
What's even the point?
Yeah, I know. But we'll see. I expect it all to be out on October 20. What'd you say it was 5th?
21st, October 21.
21st.
Yeah, I think it'll all be out. What a big year for Borderlands fans, though. Tiny Tina, full game, which we still have to finish, but that dropped earlier this year, and now a full Tales from the Borderlands game this fall. That's 2 games in your franchise in 1 year is pretty cool.
Yeah, and Tiny Tina's has been absolutely amazing so far. We've absolutely been enjoying it. So
yeah, we got to get back to it. It's been a while.
If new Tales from the Borderlands, I almost called it Tales from the Borderlands 2, which is not the title.
Yes.
if it's any good, then that's 2 big hits for Borderlands in the same year.
Yeah. There was an interview from the current Shepherds of the Life is Strange series, that went up earlier this week. It was... Who makes it now? It's not Don't Not anymore.
Deck 9.
Deck 9, yeah, thanks. And they said that after True Colors, they're never going to go back to the episodic format, and they're going to just do full releases like they did with True Colors, which I personally preferred. I didn't miss waiting at all between episodes. I really liked having it and just plowing through the whole thing in one weekend. So maybe this game's going to go that direction too. That's definitely what it seems like. I wrote this news article for this, so I was scrubbing the entire Amazon listing before it was taken down, and it didn't appear anywhere that I saw that this is going to be an episodic release. It seems like the whole thing is coming out on that day. And this was the deluxe edition, listed at I think $59.99, so maybe the full version will be $49 or $39, so we'll see.
interesting.
Is this a
Yeah,
launch
cheaper
day
title.
buy for you?
Probably, although I haven't played Borderlands 3 yet, and I don't know if this story is set after that or if that is important at all, because Tales from the Borderlands picked up a lot of character stories from the Borderlands 2 storyline, so I don't even know. I own Borderlands 3 now. I bought it very cheap
Nice.
earlier this year, and I have not played it, and I don't know when I'll have an opportunity to play it, especially within the next 2 months. But I would like to play it since it's probably going to be mostly standalone, I assume.
Yeah. We got yet another game showcase coming next month. This is an interesting one. This is the first ever Disney and Marvel game showcase, and it is coming on September 9th. This is going to be a digital showcase that's part of the D23 Expo that happens every September. This is usually where we see like new Star Wars stuff, new Marvel stuff, new Pixar stuff. And already confirmed to be there is Marvel's Midnight Suns, which was just recently delayed, and Amy Hennig's new Marvel Ensemble game, DLC for Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, and Disney Dreamlight Valley, which is that like Animal Crossing type game that we've seen from them. So my question to you think we're going to see Spider-Man or Wolverine here?
I really hope so, because when those two games got announced, we got essentially nothing except a very far off release window.
Yeah.
So I think it's been long enough to where we need to see more or hear something, especially about Wolverine, because I'm very excited about Wolverine. A huge Wolverine fan, but I'm excited to see what Amy Hennig is going to do, given her track record with Uncharted. I trust her.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what's at this event. I hesitate to think that either one of those big Marvel games is going to be there, just because they're both big PlayStation exclusives developed by a PlayStation-owned studio in Insomniac.
Yeah, you would think they would be at a separate event, gaming or not more gaming focused, but more Sony focused.
Yeah, but they haven't done one of those for us in a while. I feel like we might get one in September where Spider-Man would absolutely show up, but maybe there could be like a tease for it here and then more info at the Sony event later in the month. But yeah, from a Star Wars perspective, I feel like we'll maybe get a little bit more of Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I'm still not used to that title. Maybe a couple other things too. So yeah, interesting. It's crazy. Like, I feel like we used to live in a world where the only licensed games for like Disney or Marvel were tie-in games. Like all the early MCU movies got like really crappy tie-in video games.
Yeah. When I think of Disney video games, I obviously think of Kingdom Hearts, but that's a separate thing.
Oh, could that be here? Could that be at this?
I mean, I don't think Kingdom Hearts 4 information is gonna drop.
Yeah.
But if it does, I know I'd be watching it. So who knows?
I didn't even think about Kingdom Hearts.
Oh my God, there's gonna be Kingdom Hearts stuff. I just know it now.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
It's gonna be great.
That'd be crazy. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what's here at this showcase. And man, we're just a week away from that new Sonic Frontiers trailer too, which hopefully we'll be talking about next week. Not sure on our recording timing. We might miss that by a day just based on our schedules next week, but yeah, we're getting close.
We're the masters of late Sonic news.
We are. We've been doing it for 8 months.
Yep.
We'll get to our rumor roundup in a second, though. First up, this was an interesting one to me. Final Fantasy director Naoki Yoshida admits that the famous RPG series is currently struggling. This was in an interview with Inverse, and here's his quote. In terms of whether Final Fantasy is successfully adapting to industry trends, I believe the series is currently struggling. We're now at a point where we receive a wide variety of requests regarding the direction of our game design. To be honest, it'd be impossible to satisfy all those requests with a single title. My current impression is that all we can really do is create multiple games and continue creating the best that we can at any given time. And I feel like Final Fantasy isn't struggling. From a fan standpoint, I feel like this is the healthiest the series has been in a very long time on looking at it.
Okay, yeah, because when you first said that, I thought he meant financially struggling, but I think they're actually doing pretty well in terms of sales and pumping out lots of titles that fans are actually playing a lot. But in terms of demanding fan base, I think Final Fantasy does have quite a demanding fan base of what they want to see and their expectations, especially with Final Fantasy VII Remake. I've seen a lot on the internet of people just theories and fan. And I think they're getting absolutely bombarded by their fans. So I'm not surprised by that. But at that point, you just gotta kind of tune out all of the noise and not pay so much attention to the screaming fans and just make something that
Mm-hmm.
you're proud of and that you want to make.
Yeah, I wonder what he means by successfully adapting to industry trends, because you could read that as like some very ambitious open world like Elden Ring, or
Hmm.
microtransactions, NFTs, metaverse nonsense, which Square Enix has talked about a little bit. So I'm not sure which side of the fence he's really talking about here, but I hope it's more
Yeah.
in terms of ambitious games rather than nickel and diming the consumer.
Yeah, absolutely. And even I don't want them to trend super into open world.
Me neither.
Because I like nice linear stories for my Final Fantasy games, but hopefully not NFTs. That would be very disappointing.
Yeah, Square Enix has been talking about them. But in terms of the series as a whole, like I look at just the last year, you had the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters, which I know reception was mixed, but that still is kind of a new way to play the retro games. You had Chocobo GP, the kart racing game on Switch. You had Stranger of Paradise, which is a Souls-like game that seems like it actually turned out to be pretty good. I think people liked that game. And then in the next...
It was awful. It was one of the worst things I've ever played.
I forgot you played the demo.
It was one of the worst things I've
Wait,
ever
actually,
played.
you hated it?
I liked the combat, and it looked good, and it was the right amount of linear, but the characters in the story made me sick to my stomach. They were so poorly written and executed.
I did hear from like a gameplay Souls-like perspective that it was actually a pretty good game. I think that people...
Yeah, I liked it. It was fun to play, but it wasn't fun enough to get me through those dialogue and cutscene sequences. Yeah.
And then in the next, like, hopefully 18 months, depending on if Rebirth gets pushed, we've got Crisis Core this fall, 16 next summer, and then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth next winter. It's like, to me, like... and Final Fantasy 14, which we're not into, but is like, I feel like every time a new expansion comes out, they're like, this is the greatest thing ever made. So I feel like the series is doing really well right now compared to where it was like a decade ago with the 13 trilogy, which people don't really like, and 15, which I don't think people end up really liking even years later.
Yeah, I think the current player base for Final Fantasy 14 is absolutely massive. I think Endwalker might have been the last DLC they'll be getting. I don't know if they're getting any more.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Endwalker seems pretty final of a name. But yeah, I think the people that still play it, it's a huge player base. Sorry, I know.
And it was so big when Endwalker came out that they had to reject people. They stopped selling the game on the PlayStation Store for like a month because they had too many people playing their game. What game has that problem?
I definitely remember trying to get onto a server and being told no at one point. Yeah. So, yeah.
So that's Final Fantasy. I love Final Fantasy right now. We both loved Remake. You just played it again. I'm going to play 3 Final Fantasy games in the next year and a half. So they're not struggling to me. I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, me too. I'd say I'm wearing a Final Fantasy shirt right now.
Your 10 shirt?
Yep, Final Fantasy 10.
Nice.
One of my favorite Final Fantasies. I've liked every Final Fantasy I've beaten.
But not everyone you've played.
No, I can't say that anymore.
Because of Stranger of Paradise? Is that the...
Because of Stranger of Paradise.
So which ones that you've beaten? You beat 7, you beat 9, you beat 10, you beat 7 Remake.
7, 9, 10, 7 Remake.
Okay. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good chunk of them.
Yeah. I want to play 6 really bad. And that's pretty much the only one I want to play out of the ones I haven't played, outside of the ones that are yet to come out.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to play... I want to play 13. I feel like I might actually like those games. But we'll see.
I've heard mixed things, but yeah. Maybe you will.
They're on Game Pass.
Yes, they are.
Game Pass, yeah. And that brings us to our rumor roundup for the week, which is Sega once again telling us, Zach, that Sonic Frontiers won't be delayed. We do not consider postponing launch at this point. And 6 months ago, that would have worried me, but now I think I'm ready to see what this game's all about after everything we saw from it in June. But this is an official English translation that says, we do not consider postponing the launch at this point. Within the communication with users, we intend to reflect the parts that can be reflected within the development timeline and to build empathy with users. Don't know what that means. But then they said Sonic IP is a mainstay title we will sell over the long term in the future. We will continue to strengthen it in the next fiscal year onwards as well. And they also have high expectations because after the first Sonic movie came out, the sale of retro Sonic titles grew, and the second movie was even more popular than the first. So with a new game coming out the same year as the movie, they have very high hopes for how it's going to perform.
That being said, like we said earlier, why didn't this game come out closer to when the movie came out?
It was supposed to. It was supposed to already be on store shelves by the time that movie came out. It's a shame.
But their level of confidence, I think we're going to be playing this thing in December.
Yeah.
I'm confident.
This could be the last rumor roundup before we have a release date. I'm getting nervous.
It could. Yep. Oh, man.
Yeah. Also in the last week, we learned that Sonic 3 is coming out December 2024. So less than 2.5 years away. Excited about that, too.
Hopefully that coincides with the next Sonic game.
Probably not. Maybe a spin-off.
Probably not.
Maybe a spin-off for the next Olympics.
Shadow the Hedgehog 2, I'm feeling. How do we feel about that?
I would play that. It is not a great game, but I would play that.
Bring him back. Give him a gun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and once again, Jeff Keighley was teasing more about Sonic Frontiers. It's got to be a date at this point. If they're like, we're not delaying it, that means they know when it's coming out. It's just time for them to tell us.
I think we're going to get it next week. I'm pretty sure.
I think so, too.
Not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's it for news. A bit of a lighter week here on the news front. What you been playing, Zach?
The best we don't have Kevin. I've been playing so many games.
Me too.
But not Live Alive. Weirdly enough.
Me neither.
I don't know what it is. I really like Live Alive, but I had the urge to play other stuff this week. Beat a couple games, played a couple games with friends. So got a little distracted from Live Alive, but hopefully we'll have it close to beat next week so we can talk about it more. Maybe do a spoiler cast on it once all of us have beat it.
Kevin says he's not going to have time to finish it either before our
Probably not. Week. So we probably won't talk about it fully next week, but maybe the week after that. We got to focus on Sonic next week if we come in just in time. Hopefully. But other than that, what I've actually been playing, I beat The Walking Dead, the final season. That wraps up my replay of the 4 Telltale and / Skybound seasons of the Walking Dead video game. Absolutely loved my replay. Some of the games that I liked less, like the 2nd and 3rd seasons, I actually liked more on this replay, and it had been a while since I had played them, so I think I'm just growing as a person. So I think that's probably what it is. But I actually very much enjoyed it. These games still are held very high regard to me. The first one is still in my top 10 games of all time. It is my favorite one. I think it's clearly the best one. I played the definitive edition, like I mentioned, which has updated graphics, darker blacks. You can toggle it on and off. It also has smaller things like a music collection, character models, stuff like that. That being said, it did go through a few patches after release for graphical glitches and audio glitches. And I, of course, ran into a couple on my very extensive playthrough of all 4 games. There was, God, what was it? In the 4th game, there's a character who plays the piano. And when he stopped playing the piano didn't stop playing. And it didn't stop playing until I closed the game. I even moved locations. The chapter moved on. The
what about if you paused? Just like playing in the pause menu?
Yep. It awesome. Just kept going. And he's not great at piano, so it was loud and abrasive, and it was just very annoying. That's and funny. This has happened before. I think this happened in Life is Strange too, with like a water sound that had just continued to go on after the scene had passed. Yeah. So I don't know what it is with games like these, but audio and graphical glitches, they're bound to happen. They don't really detract from anything, and they're not game breaking. Although I did have to actively turn my game off and back on again to get the audio glitches to stop. It wasn't too bad. And I was planning on platinuming the definitive edition, which is just beating every episode of every game. But it also included the spin-off Walking Dead Michonne, which is a 3-episode spin-off of the comic book character. And I don't read the comic book, and I don't really care about it. So I'm just going to remain 3 trophies away from the platinum for the remainder of my life, which I can live with.
Okay.
So that was good. And then after that, I played Outer Wilds, Echoes of the Eye, which is the DLC to Outer Wilds, a game that I have beaten recently and very much enjoyed. So I decided to buy the DLC. I had Outer Wilds free from Game Pass on Xbox, but the DLC you actually have to pay for. It was only like $13, so not too expensive, and it's a decently lengthed DLC. I think it took me somewhere around 8 to 12 hours, which is longer than I was anticipating. But I got stuck on a couple of puzzles, which drew out the time. and it was super enjoyable. It's set in the middle of the game, on a celestial body that you actually have to find that is hidden from view, and it's super cool the
That's
way it's set
super
up. How
cool. That's
it's
awesome.
yeah, so the way it is, it's just been there the whole time, and you were never able to see it. So you get this information on how to find it. You actively find it, and then you can just go in there, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And the puzzles are amazing. Most of them are light based. The game is very simple. It doesn't have a lot of controls or a lot of options on things to do, so it has to get very creative on how you can actually solve puzzles.
Uh-huh.
And some of the stuff that it thinks of and pulls off is absolutely incredible. So after doing this DLC, this game is so in my good graces. I love it so much, and I can't recommend playing the base game and the DLC enough, especially to you, Logan. I think you'd be a huge fan of it.
I love time
So,
loops.
yeah, it's
I
time
do
loop
love time
puzzle
loops.
solving space. And like I said, I don't love games set on space stations, but this one is just you hop from planet to planet. Your ship is so small. It's just, and the music is so good, and the atmosphere. Oh, it's just absolutely incredible game. Um, and loved every second of it.
You were
So
telling me that
I beat that.
it would have taken your Game of the Year award if you had played it the year that it came out in 2019,
2019
right?
Game of the Year. Gave it to Judgment. Love Judgment, but I like this more. Super good.
Cool.
So it didn't. Yeah, it only took me 2 sittings to beat it. I was trying to beat it in 1 sitting, but it was getting pretty late, so I had to save it for the next day.
Fair enough.
And then other than that, I played some more Dark Souls 3 with my group of friends who are playing it together. We're playing it multiplayer / single player, kind of just feeling it out, hopping into each other's worlds when we need help, stuff like that. Nothing too consistent. So I'm beating some bosses by myself, beating some bosses with 1 friend, 2 friends, but having an absolutely great time. I think I'm a big fan of the Souls series. I think I can officially say, because I've really enjoyed Elden Ring, Bloodborne, and Dark Souls 3, which is a good chunk of them. So I think I'm officially a Souls fan. I can add that to my resume. Because the combat on this one, it feels very good. And I'm playing with a big hammer. I always go for the slow weapon with the high strength. So I always have to have
Makes
unique
sense. Sounds
timing
like
with
you.
my attacks to everyone else. It's just so good. It translates really well, even though there's unique combat abilities in each game. So I think that really attests to how these games are spiritually connected, because it definitely feels like it. So that's been a lot of fun.
Well,
I don't know how
I gotta
far we
lay my
are.
claim to you for because you have this other group you're playing all these games with, and I want to play these games, but I don't know anyone to play them with. No one else I play games with would want to play these. So if you ever play the Demon Souls PS5 remake,
Yeah, I mean these games don't seem super inviting when you're playing by
I know,
yourself.
yeah.
Because I have a friend who has played them all before and knows them very well. He said he put like 1,000 hours into Dark Souls 2, which is a game we have not played together. So I don't know. He's definitely helpful. I might find them more frustrating if I didn't have him guiding me. So maybe we can play them together down the road, and I can guide you with a helpful hand. Because if we play Demon Souls together, we'd both be lost.
That's true. We would both be lost.
That's not very helpful.
Uh-huh.
And then just before this podcast, I decided to sit down and finish the 3rd case in Ace Attorney Dual Destinies, a game which I've been playing for what feels like 6 months.
It does feel like that.
Yeah, I got stagnated on the 3rd case, but I actually ended up really enjoying the 3rd case. There were a lot of weird twists that I didn't see coming, some declarations of friendship, which I found very moving, and the character that I really liked turned out to be a murderer, which was devastating.
There are some big twists in that case.
Yeah,
Huh.
I thought it was a really good case, given how much I didn't really care for the first 2 cases. I thought this one was really good, and then I watched the opener for the upcoming case, which looks very interesting. So I think I'm about ready to plow through the rest of this game. I've only got cases 4 and 5, and the DLC case, which I think is the one about the dolphin.
The whale. Mm-hmm.
Whale. Why did I think it was a dolphin? I always think it's a dolphin.
Yep.
All right. But I'm very excited about that. And then, also, Forza Horizon 5 Hot Wheels DLC. Logan and I still playing it. together. A little under halfway, close to the halfway point. Not really sure, but absolutely enjoying it. The open, free fast travel is a game changer, especially with these very looping tracks. Not always being very clear on where you need to go. The fast travel makes it very easy to get where we need to go and just hop from race to race. And we're absolutely enjoying it.
Yeah, it's great. Like we said last week, the fast travel's a game changer. We're unlocking some faster cars. We did a race where we were going like 250 miles an hour on these things. So yeah, it's still super fun. I would play another DLC island of this game if they made one, which I think they will. I feel like they do 2 DLC packs per game, it kind of seems like.
I haven't noticed because I haven't really been paying attention. I thought that I know that there was the Hot Wheels one for one of the previous titles and then a Lego one for a different previous title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Horizon 3 had Hot Wheels and then it had this like island. And then Horizon 4 had, I think, like a separate island and Lego. So I feel like everyone gets like a new area and then like a spin-off like Lego or Hot Wheels area. So I think we'll probably get one more.
Yeah, and I like that the Hot Wheels that we unlock are the most viable cars. So we have good reason to actually drive around in the Hot Wheels. They're not like significantly worse than the actual cars. They're better than the actual cars on the Hot Wheels track. So It's nice that we're actually viably driving around in these really cool Hot Wheels cars that we're unlocking, which I really like. So definitely been enjoying that. And then other than that, Sunbreak of course, title update. Did we talk about the title update last week?
Yep, we did last week. We hit that.
Okay, so you know our thoughts on anomaly investigations, curious crafting, monsters, the whole 9 yards. But we'll talk more about that after Logan talks about what else he's been playing over the week. Couple things.
We played Fall Guys Sonic together. There's a new Sonic level in Fall Guys. It's called Bean Hill Zone because, of course, it's after Green Hill Zone.
I forgot we played that.
And
I won on the first time.
Yeah, the first show was it's 3 rounds. You had to collect, 20 rings, then 35 rings, then 50 rings to advance through the 3 rounds. And the first person to get 50 rings in the last round wins the show. And Zach did that on our first time in it. It's a fun mode. It's cool. It's fun zipping around collecting Sonic rings. I got the Super Sonic costume with some of the show bucks I had lying around. So, yeah, I haven't seen that game show up in the normal rotation yet, though. It has to, right? It's just a normal game.
I don't know.
Zach doesn't think so.
Yeah. Well, because Sweet Thieves was also an event game, and that got taken out, didn't it?
Yeah, but there's other event games like Hexagon Trials or Blast Ball Trials or just things that, like, jump around where it's just that game and a show. Sweet Thieves is a weird game. It's not super balanced.
I'm not sold.
I think it's got to be in there.
I don't believe it.
I think it's in there.
I don't believe it.
We'll find out. We just have to keep playing until we get it. We just have to play forever
which could be years from now.
Yeah. But I don't know at what point I give up and say that it's not in there, because we might just have horrible luck where it never gets shown up in the rotation.
Well, we are seeing it when the loading screen goes by and it flicks through images of all the games. It appears.
But is there a picture of Sweet Thieves in there?
There used to be. I haven't seen one in a long time. So if the picture goes out, I'm inclined to say the game also goes out.
Yeah. Okay. But it's fun. It's a fun game. I see no reason why it wouldn't be in there. It's just like Hoopsie Legends, but you have to get a bunch of rings. Or Bubble Trouble. That's actually the closest comparison. It's just like Bubble Trouble. Why can't it be in there?
Yeah, but Bubble Trouble isn't an event game.
Okay. All right. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll
end this argument in the future.
I've been playing a lot of other stuff, though. A lot of very random things I don't think I've really talked about on the show. Right. First up, I did it. I finally beat God of War 2018. It's done. 4 years and almost 4 months after it. Very good game. 4 months, 4 years after it came out. It's finally done. And I liked it. And that's about all I can say about it, is I liked it.
That breaks my heart. Such a great game that I haven't played in 4 years and don't think about very often. Maybe I didn't love it either.
It's fine. Okay, so here's my final take. The take you've been waiting 4 years to hear about this game. And it's something I've believed for a while, but now that I've finished the game, I can kind of see this for myself, right? So God of War was a series never really known for its storytelling. So a new God of War comes out, and I feel like everybody goes in with these preconceived notions of what this game is going to be. They're like, it's going to be just more violent, another violent romp as Kratos, but this time he has a son, whatever. It's not going to be, it's going to be like mindless popcorn fun, just like the other games were. So you go in with the expectations set here at that level, and then what you get is a pretty well-told, emotional, heartfelt story with some serious dialogue, and that just raises everybody. And the difference in expectation and reality had everybody thinking this is the greatest game on PlayStation 4. When in reality, I would say it's not in the top 10. I think off the top of my head, I can name 10 PS4 games I think are better than God of War. Okay, you want me to?
Please. No.
Uncharted 4.
If you can. That's clear.
Last of Us 1. Last of Us 2.
Clear number
Ghost
3.
of Tsushima.
Clear number
Spider-Man.
4, 5. What are we at? 5?
Dragon Quest 11 is a better game.
That's on Switch now.
It's still on PlayStation 4.
It's on Dragon Quest. It's on Xbox.
Uncharted: The Lost Legacy is better.
Yeah, it's iffy.
Yeah, you think that's iffy? It's a great game.
No, I like it.
I like Judgment more than God of War. Yakuza 0 is better than God of War, even though I haven't finished it.
That's true.
The Uncharted Nathan Drake collection is better than God of War.
Wow, you just really leaned on Uncharted there.
A Way Out, I don't know if I said that one, is better than God of War.
You did not. It's a great game.
There's
Shadow of the Colossus.
Astrobot Rescue Mission VR. I like more than God of War.
I love that game.
What?
I love that game.
Oh, I thought you said
what
I
else?
don't love that game. It's like, no.
I love Groundhog Day, like father, like son.
That game is not better than God of War. Let's see. I'm trying to find my list of PS4 games. I did pretty good though, reeling those off the top of my head. Monster Hunter World. That was embarrassing.
Oh.
Is better than God of War. Final Fantasy VII Remake
is
better than God of War.
Sure.
And Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is better than God of War.
All right, I would agree with most of that.
The Witcher 3.
Better than God of War.
Nier, from what I hear. I haven't played it myself.
Not better.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I thought it was good.
If I haven't played it, it's not better.
Also, I feel like when I first got a PlayStation, I was super into all of the very big budget third-person, intense, emotional, story-driven action RPGs. I feel like maybe I'm burning out on those a little bit. I feel like after a little while, all PlayStation first party does kind of blend together and feel like a pretty similar game.
That hurts to hear. It's my favorite genre.
It's like Spider-Man, God of War, Horizon, Ghost. Like, at the end of the day, they're all pretty similar.
Are they?
Yeah.
Name one similarity other than third-person action.
Barfing icons on your map.
Barfing.
God of War doesn't really do that, though. But all the other ones do.
No.
Yeah. But I liked it. I don't get the hype, but I liked it. Which bridges me into what I'm playing now, which is the main game that it was contending with for Game of the Year back in 2018, and that's Red Dead Redemption 2. I am playing Red Dead 2.
What year is this?
I know.
Oh my god.
So I played God of War with my girlfriend. She watched me play through it. We do that from time to time. We've done it with like Uncharted and a few other games, Last of Us, and she loves Wild West. She loves cowboys. She loves the aesthetic, the time period, and for years she's been like, I really want to play Red Dead. And so that's what we're playing next. We're playing that together, and I like it. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's better than God of War so far. I am only through the opening hours, the snow section. I just got to where the snow finally melts, and I'm out of that. But I kind of love its slow pace. I could see maybe burning out on it after a few dozen hours, but I currently kind of love that everything's a little bit annoying to do, but I mean that in a good way. Like, you gotta skin a deer, it takes forever. Looting a dude, you have to actually bend down, pick up his body, rifle through his pockets. Like, it is just a very relaxing, slow-paced game. I really like the dialogue and the characters. I'm interested to see where these relationships that they're building up go. I haven't played the first one, but I know what happens in it, so I kind of have an idea of where everything eventually leads. But it is fun to kind of get to know these characters for the first time. And it is a gorgeous game. It still looks very, very good 4 years later. So, yeah, I'm enjoying it.
I'm surprised there isn't a dedicated PS5 version yet.
Yeah.
But Rockstar doesn't really
I don't care about Red Dead.
Produce things. They don't care.
They're moved on. They don't care. But I like the cinematic mode where you can just like when you're riding on your horse for like 10 minutes, you can just like change it to a cinematic mode and just hold down X to keep riding. That's pretty cool.
Grand Theft Auto does that too. When you're in a car or a helicopter or something, you can just cinematic mode it. I never do it. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
I just like staring at the back of the character's head, personally.
I'm a fan of Arthur so far. I like his brand of very like dry, rude humor. I think he's funny.
Yeah,
I like
he is funny. And you are now officially as far as I ever made it. Because even though I started replaying it a couple weeks ago, I'm not even out of the snow yet.
Dude,
So
I feel like you would
I'll
love
continue
this
it.
game. I feel like you would just absolutely love this game. I don't get why you haven't played more of it.
I'm a weird guy. I'm a weird guy with weird tastes.
I think you should give it another shot.
If I get to a moment that clicks and then I play it for 300 hours, then so be it.
We'll probably just mainline the story, maybe do a few side things. It is a 50-hour story, I think, and I probably don't want to spend much more time than that in the game, but I'm really liking it. One thing I will say is, like, Rockstar gunplay is not very good. Like, it's just not.
It's... Yeah, in both Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead, it's... You hold R2 and then the reticle snaps to the enemy, so you don't have to aim at all, ever. Which makes it very easy. It's more so the joy of killing mass amounts of people, which Rockstar players seem to enjoy.
It's not super my thing. Really, gameplay feels secondary in Rockstar games to me.
Yeah.
Like, when we played Grand Theft Auto, I'm like, I don't get the hype. I get why online would be fun if you were super into it and had a group of friends to play consistently with online, but, like, from a single-player campaign perspective, I think that maybe people like it because, like, the reasons we've described why we like A Way Out, where it's like you're always doing something different. Red Dead is that, like, turned up to 11. Or Grand Theft Auto is that, like, turned up to 11. Like, you can go on, like, these bus tours, and they're, like, fully narrated tours of, like, around the city that's totally optional. You can fly planes, steal cars, bank heist, all these different things. But the act of actually doing those things is not super polished. It's, like, fine. It works. It serves the purpose, but it doesn't feel particularly good. Like, when you fight a horde of enemies in Ghost of Tsushima, that feels great. But in this, it's like, just hit L2, hit R2, let go of both. Hit L2, hit R2, let go of both, and that's it.
Yep. Yeah, that is definitely not for everybody in terms of gunplay and combat, but it gets the job done. It progresses the story. There's just hordes of enemies that come at you, especially in the first section. There's this camp that you have to raid that's just chock full of dudes. So it doesn't hide what it's about right off the bat. It throws you right into it. So if that's your thing.
I do love the storytelling though. That is something that is really, really working for me. There's a funny
I like the
part
characters a lot.
Where you're riding back on your horse after hunting for some deer, and then there's like a bear off in the distance that you can see, and they're like, we gotta try and go another way. I pulled out my revolver and shot the bear, and it charged at me and ripped me off the horse. I survived though. But then there's even dialogue for that. The dude is like, what the hell are you doing? Are you crazy? Like, he's freaking out at me, and I'm like, sorry man, I just wanted to see what happened. Just really cool details like that.
I did the exact same thing. Yeah.
I want to know the percentage of players that do that.
But I didn't even hesitate. But that bear was way stronger than I remembered.
He wasted me.
It took so many shots to take down that bear.
You killed him?
Very realistic. Yeah.
He ran off for me. It said, good thing that bear's scared easily. He ran off. You actually killed the bear in that scene?
I did.
That's awesome.
It took a lot.
That's bow and arrow or gun?
I think it was bow.
Oh, wow. Dang, that's impressive. I want to see that.
Thank you.
But yeah, playing that now. I think I'm going to play a little more tonight, so maybe I'll have a little more to say on that. Out of the snow section next week.
Don't get too far ahead of me, because I'm also going to play it.
You got to catch up.
And I like to be ahead of people.
You do. Maybe me playing it will actually finally push you to play it.
Probably.
Maybe. And then last thing, I started and finished Luigi's Mansion on 3DS, the 3DS remake of the GameCube original.
You started and finished?
It's a very short game.
Is it?
It's like a 6-hour game.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah, it was a GameCube launch title, and it's really kind of just like a tech demo for what graphics on the GameCube can look like, because it was a pretty visually impressive thing at the time for the GameCube, for like lighting effects and things like that, and using like the C stick on the GameCube controller was a big part of it too, since that was new. So it's pretty short, but Oh, what a cool little game. It is. It is so cool. It's very Metroidvania-like, where you have access to this one floor of the mansion, and then you earn keys that require you to backtrack to different parts of that floor. And it's much easier than a Metroid game because you get a key and it tells you exactly what door it goes to. It's not even like Zelda where you kind of have to figure out how to piece things together yourself. Like, each key you get is like, oh, that's for the laundry room. And the mansion is just extremely cool designed. Like, I want to live in this mansion, but without the ghosts. Like, there's like a billiards room, there's like a costume room, there's like a room with all the skins of animals that have been hunted that wouldn't like in reality, but it's pretty cool in this game. Like, there's a bunch of just really cool rooms like that. The bosses are super fascinating. The music is really creepy. It's just like, we're so used to what Luigi's Mansion is now, but like at the time, like, what a random game. Like, Luigi is a ghost hunter in this mansion with, like, these 25 super unique cartoon ghosts, like, and he sucks them up with his vacuum. It's super cool. Luigi's Mansion 3 is definitely, like, a better game. It has way more content and gets just way wackier with its themes, but for, like, a little mini, like, 5 to 6 hour experience to just sit down and explore this one mansion, Luigi's Mansion's super cool. And the 3DS version is cool, too. I played it on the new 3DS that has the thumbstick, and it actually works pretty well. It's like the first game I've ever used that thumbstick for, and it actually does work out.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever used the thumbstick, to be honest. But yeah, that's great. I think other Nintendo characters should get spin-offs that they become known for that are just random and crazy. Like, I've always wanted Waluigi to have a pirate game where he's just a
So cool.
captain of a pirate ship and sails the seven seas. Mm-hmm. And that's all I ever want in life, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, there's a handful of them out there that, like, I mean, WarioWare is very random.
Toad Treasure Tracker.
Captain Toad, yep. That's, like, the most recent one I can think of, but I'd love to see. And take it outside of Mario also. Like, I guess they gave Tingle a game, but it never came over here. But, like, give some Zelda characters some wacky spin-offs. Yeah.
Yeah, Cast Rhythm Game. Rivali Rhythm Game.
Zelda Rhythm Game.
I don't know types of games. Yeah, Zelda Rhythm Game.
I had an idea. I feel like I had a really cool idea for one.
Third-person shooter with a bow.
Yeah. There's like some cool detective characters. Detective Pikachu's a weird one. That's an example of one, I guess.
That is a weird one. Mm-hmm. But it's cool. There's lots of the Warriors type spin-offs happening now. Mm-hmm. Like the Zelda spin-off and the Fire Emblem Three Houses spin-off. So,
have I told you my prediction for that?
Warriors games.
I don't remember if I like the Warriors games.
I'm pretty sure you mentioned a Warriors-related prediction on this.
Xenoblade Warriors. It's gonna happen. It is gonna happen.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. It's a natural progression.
Yeah.
When do you think? Next year? Announcement?
I feel like it'll come out in 2024. They have a Nintendo Warriors game like every 2 years. So.
All right, I'll go on a limb and say Persona Warriors just to be different.
That already exists.
What?
Persona 5 Strikers.
That's what that is?
Yeah.
I thought that was a rhythm game.
That's a Warriors game.
Ugh.
Yep.
I'm out of the loop.
That is a Warriors game, yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, I guess I was technically right.
It already exists. Yeah.
Yep.
I think the next Nintendo one will absolutely be Xenoblade. I think now there's a trilogy out. I think there's a ton of characters to pull from. That could be pretty cool. I love Xenoblade. Great.
I love Luigi's Mansion 3, which is what we were talking about.
We're talking about Luigi's Mansion
3.
No,
we were talking about Luigi's Mansion 3D. That's what I said. I just didn't finish.
Yeah, but that's all I've been playing. Thinking about playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
You and me both.
We'll see.
I don't know why.
Don't buy it, because I might, and I could lend it to you. So, we'll see.
Well, what if I buy it and lend it to you? You ever think about that?
You lend me the PlayStation games, and I lend you the Nintendo games. That's how this deal works.
That's true. Yeah, that is actually.
I'm already borrowing your Last of Us, and hopefully, maybe God of War. Maybe, if I choose to play.
Yeah, I'm buying it. So if you don't buy it, you can definitely borrow it.
All right, let's get into our Ode 2 segment for the week to wrap up here. We wanted to pick something that Kevin wouldn't care about if we did without him. So I think the last time we were on an episode together without him, we ranked our top 5 favorite monsters in Monster Hunter World Iceborne. We never ranked our favorites in Rise, so now we're going to rank our top 5 Monster Hunter Rise monsters. This can include anything that's in the game. Or did you just do new ones? How'd you do your list?
I ended up just doing new ones, but I didn't limit myself. I thought about it. I decided not to limit myself to just new monsters. But it just ended up that way.
Okay. Okay. So top 5 monsters in the entire game. I didn't pick anything that was in world already. I thought
Obviously.
that was kind of So
Silver Rathalos, no
I
thank you.
don't know if anything would have made it in though that was in world. But your top 5
Bareth.
Rise monsters. You want to get us started, Zach?
I would love to get us started, as in just number 5.
As in all 5 of them. Let's hear it.
Oh my
We're
God.
gonna rip through this.
All right, number 5. New to Sunbreak, Blood Orange Bishaten,
Nice.
which is the variant of the Rise original Bishaten, which I was an absolutely huge fan of upon release of Rise. I really love the Bishaten. It is a monkey-style monster that bounces around on its tail, which also acts as a hand, and it throws fruit at you. And it's just a really cool... We don't get a lot of non-super aggressive monkey-themed monsters. The only one that comes to mind is Rajang and I guess Garangolm. I like monkey monsters.
Yeah.
So the Bishaten was I was a big fan of when it came out, and then when Sunbreak came out, they introduced a new variant called the Blood Orange Bishaten, which is much more my aesthetic. The fur is now orange instead of blue, and it shoots or throws flaming pine cones as opposed to colorful fruit. So I like this one a lot. It definitely overtook the Bishaten in my mind. It is a low-level monster, so it's not particularly hard to fight, but I always enjoy fighting it.
Yeah.
And then in number
Actually,
4,
we can alternate. You don't need to roll through all of them. We'll
all right, there's going to be some crossover.
Yeah, yeah. My number 5 is the Arachnikadaki. This is the spider monster that was introduced in original Rise, and I really, really like this monster. I like monsters that are super unique creatures. Like, a lot of them just end up looking like a Rathalos. We've kind of joked about a lot of them just take that form.
Yeah.
There's you could reel off 10 monsters in Rise Sunbreak that all just kind of look like Rathalos. But the Arachnikadaki is completely unique. It's a spider. It lays eggs. The eggs hatch. You have to fight the little babies that hatch out. You can break the egg sac, and then that topples them up. This all sounds very brutal out of context.
It does.
But it's super cool. It has these really cool web attacks. It can zip around with these webs. There is a variant in Sunbreak called the Pyre Arachnikadaki that's more fire themed, but I like just the base one, I think, a little bit more. But yeah, anytime we fight it, I really, really enjoy fighting it.
Yeah, great. I enjoy it too. I think I might like the Pyre a little bit more for the similar reasons I like the Blood Orange Bishaten, because it's red and fiery, which I like.
Yeah.
And then coming in at number 4, for me, it's the flagship of Sunbreak. It's Malzeno, one of the 3 lords, the main driving point of the story. He's so cool. He's a huge dragon, vampire themed, causes blood blight, which constantly drains your health. He zips around with shadowy teleporting. He's just very cool to look at. I love his curio, infected, afflicted, all that kind of stuff that leads to the upgraded monster versions later in the game. So given his lore and his appearance and his fight, it's all just a 10 out of 10 in my mind.
Malzeno is my honorable mention. Just missed the cut.
Just missed it.
Yep.
Disgusting.
Also just missing the cut, Shagaru Magala, who is my monster based on a personality test I took that I now have a weird affinity for, but I don't actually like the fight that much, so I left it off the list. But my number 4 is the flagship monster of Rise, Magnamalo. He's super cool. He's what is he, like a wolf dog?
He's like a...
What's he supposed to be?
He's I don't know what he is. He's dog shaped.
Yeah, he has a very cool tail.
Quadrupedal tail.
Tiger. This says he's a tiger.
Tiger. That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes
yeah,
sense.
he is kind of like a tiger, but he's super
prowls.
cool. He has a very cool attack where he shoots this huge purple energy ring at you from his tail, and he can fire it off 3 times really fast. Yeah, he has a very cool samurai-inspired horns on his head that look kind of like a samurai helmet. That's really cool. Part of the just heavy Eastern influence for a lot of Rise's original monsters. Cool colors. I like the purple and red, and he's a good fight too. So, big fan of Magnamalo.
Yeah, absolutely. And then my number 3, I'm assuming will be on Logan's list at some point, is the Gos Harag, which is...
I love him.
Which Logan loves the Gossarog, so I probably won't say much about him, so Logan can gush about him later. But Gossarog was introduced in Base Rise. He's a Yeti Oni, which is like a Japanese demon, so he's a Yeti in a Oni mask, who forms ice swords on his hands and is just so cool. Is just one of the coolest monsters we have ever fought, seen, and love him tremendously. And that's all I'll say.
My number 3, I also think Zach's going to talk about later, the Garen Golem. He's the giant monkey who's very armored.
I love the Garen Golem.
From Sunbreak, he's one of the 3 lords, and he has like these arms that I don't really know what he does with them, but
they're like, yeah, so he shoves his hands into the ground and pulls up essentially boxing gloves of rocks and magma.
Yeah, they're like tree trunks.
Which he then uses to attack. And then tree trunks and all kinds of stuff. And he also uses his lava-propelled hands to launch at you across the map. And he's basically Frankenstein-themed, since all the 3 lords are based on vampires, werewolves, and Frankenstein. And yeah, like I said, I really love monkey monsters, and he is by far the coolest monkey of all the monsters.
He's my number 3. I really love him. I love all the 3 lords. I think they're all great.
Oh yeah, me too. Lunagarin just missed my list.
All right, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is the flagship of Base Rise. That's Magnamalo.
Nice.
I love Magnamalo. We already talked about him. Tiger-themed, Hellfire, Purple Fire, shooting his tail beam, attacking pretty much any monster that comes his way. Some of the coolest turf wars in all the games. If something's flying, he'll just go up into the air, bounce around with his tail blast, and just bring it to the ground, which is super cool to see. Yeah, I love both the flagships of Rise and Sunbreak very much.
My number 2, you just mentioned it, Miss Year's Lunagarin. The werewolf monster. I didn't have high expectations for this because I don't care about the Odogaron in Monster Hunter World, but just similar in name, not really close at all. This is very cool, like deep blue, ice blue monster that can become powered up and enter this like werewolf state where it stands up on its hind legs and grows super long claws and just gets this like demonic look in its eyes. And I just remember the first time we fought it, I thought it was super memorable. Really unique monster. I love the inspiration of the 3 lords, Frankenstein, werewolf, vampire. I think that's just a super cool idea. And Lunagarin is my favorite of those. Super cool monster.
Yeah, he's absolutely great.
Number 1?
And then my number 1 is obviously the other 3 lord that we have mentioned previously. It's Garen Golem. Like I said, monkey monsters are my jam, and this is by far my favorite one. The Frankenstein-themed monster of the 3 lords, using his rocks and lava and tree trunks and grass and all that good stuff. He's just such a great fight. He's so fun to fight. He looks super cool. He's definitely been my favorite from all the new additions. And I think they just killed it with the monsters in Sunbreak.
Gossarog is my number 1.
The clear number 1.
He's so amazing. His face changes from red to blue depending on his rage level. That's very cool. He doesn't only get swords of ice, he also gets a shield sometimes. He'll have a sword and shield and he'll fight with that. He has very cool moves depending on if he has 2 swords or a sword and a shield. There's a sound effect in Rise that is only heard when you attack his ice weapons. It is this extremely satisfying, like clicky, punchy noise whenever you slash one of his weapons that is only him. Nothing else has that hit sound effect when you hit it, and I think that's super cool. Yeah, he's amazing. He's so awesome. He's my favorite monster overall. He is
incredible.
In all of Monster
Hunter.
Hunter.
I don't blame you. He is super cool. And he definitely deserved my 3 spot.
Is Garen Golem your favorite monster overall in all of Monster Hunter?
I want to say maybe.
It's tough.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It is tough because I really like Nergigante, Dodogama, Fatalis.
Yeah.
You know,
the big
really
3. The big 3. Monster Hunter fans understood that joke. Okay, that's going to wrap us up this week on Ode to Games. Zach, anything else?
I got to play more Live Alive.
I know.
Now that I got to play Mario Odyssey.
Red Dead 2.
Got to play Ace Attorney, Red Dead 2. Pokemon Legends Arceus.
There's a lot.
Too many games to play.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3, there's a lot happening right now. There is a lot happening.
I beat so many games over the last week and made what feels like no progress.
Sad. Well, there will always be more games to play, and there will always be more episodes of Ode to Games. We'll be back next week. Kevin should be here. Don't know if we're going to record before or after the big Sonic news. Hopefully we can get into the show. But if not, you can still look forward to a great show. But that's it. You can find the show on Twitter at Ode to Games. Email us, odeToGamesCast@gmail.com. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen to your podcast. Thank you, Zach. Kevin will be back next week. My name's Logan. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great week, and we'll catch you next time right here on Ode to Games.